Just waiting for Jay to join us. He should be here in the next few minutes, but we'll kick off without him for the moment. Just sort of give you an overview of what we're going to do today. We're going to have a little chat about the City game. Obviously, that was a phenomenal match, a nice 3-3 draw. And then we've got the Tranmere game that we're going to have a quick look at. Just go over both our feelings on how that went down. Obviously, the team rotation and the refereeing standards the past couple of games have been pretty shoddy, so we'll have a chat on that. And obviously, we've got the Wolves game coming up. We'll talk about that as well. And Alexander Isak, obviously his signing, and where that leaves us with further signings. Obviously, he's cost us a pretty penny, so it's 63 million. I think is the overall cost of the lad, from what I've been hearing. So, does that leave much in the bank for us to go and get some more? I mean, we all know that FFP exists, but we also know that we're in a position where we don't necessarily have FFP as a barrier for us to go out and sign people. The way, for all of its flaws, what Mike Ashley has done with the club, he has left it in a position where we can spend freely. So it's a case now of whether we're willing to go out and spend a bit more on another player, like a James Maddison, for example, whether we want to go out and spend the 60 million that it's going to cost to get him in midfield. But I think if we did get somebody like him, or even if Moussa Diaby's back on the table, now Hudson-Odoi's gone out there, or going out there on loan, then yeah, the team's coming on. I mean, you look at that front three now. Almiron had a pretty good game against City. You've got to give the lad that. Got his goal. Him, Allen, and Isak up front. Obviously, Wilson when he's fit, but that looks like a really strong front three at the minute. And if we can get somebody in that's a bit better than Miggy for his goals and assist return, then we genuinely start looking a bit more frightening up front, and we've got a bit more squad depth, and we can keep Jacob Murphy as far away from that first team as possible, because after that Tranmere match, that how he's got a future at the club, I have no idea. And I love Murphy purely for the fact of what he's done since he's been at the club. You know, he's been somebody that you can call upon if you need somebody. He's played right back, right wing back. He's played right midfield, right winger. He's done all right. And being a fan of the club, he knows what it's like and what it means to play for Newcastle. But doesn't mean he's been a good player for Newcastle. He's been there, and that's all I can really say about him at the minute. That game against Tranmere, he had so many opportunities to put us ahead, so many opportunities to prove that he should be fighting for a first team place, or even to get on the bench for first team games. And all he's done, in my mind, is push himself further down the pecking order. So if we can just get somebody in to replace him, and even Sean Longstaff did nothing in that Tranmere game to suggest that he's worthy of pressing, you know, the three lads that we've got in midfield at the minute. And that's slightly worrying, you know, given how long Shelby's out for, and Longstaff is our next option for that midfield. Obviously, Elliot Anderson looked phenomenal again for Newcastle. So that's something that we can look forward to. But Jay's just arrived, so let me pop him on the stream and we'll kick off properly. Hello, mate. You all right?
You're all right, not too bad.
Good. Yeah, just thought we'd start obviously off with the City game and see what your thoughts are about that. That was a hell of a game, wasn't it?
Oh, I should have got 3 points on that.
Oh, yeah,
should have got 3 points.
A bit annoyed when the third goal for City went in, and I think surprised to misses a bit. I think big old bottle of water on the table, I just smacked it across the room. Oh, mate, it was gut wrenching, but that shows how far we've come since Eddie and the new owners have taken over. 9-0 on aggregate to City last season against us, and first time we play in the third game of the season, we're disappointed we didn't beat them.
I know, it's amazing. The heart, the passion, the way they all played was something you can just keep in your memories. The way we just played our hearts out in that game. It reminded me of when we did beat them 2-1 after going down 1-0 after 26 seconds. The way the passion of the fans pulled us together. When I got that equaliser and then went on and got that winner, the same thing happened, but it seemed twice as much passion went into that. The vocals from the fans were definitely the 12th or even 13th man in that team. To go 1-0 down, pull it back, go 2-1 up, and then that free kick to take us 3-1 up. Oh my word, that was an amazing goal. I could not get that image out of my head. That goal was such amazing.
Oh yeah, I think I've worn out the screen on my phone from just watching it on YouTube, rewinding it back to the beginning and playing it again. What a strike it was. And I think I read somewhere it's 3 out of 4 free kicks that he's taken for us, he's put in the net, Trippier, which is amazing. And he's still unbeaten in a Newcastle shirt, which is amazing, given how many he's played now, 9, or if you count the Tranmere game, I think it's 10. But then again, if we count the Tranmere game, we'd have to count the Oxford game, so he wouldn't be unbeaten. But yeah, in the league, when he's in the team, we're looking really good. But that City game, obviously it started how you'd expect it to, with them all over us. Sloppy defending, really sloppy defending for their first goal. And I'm struggling to really see who was to blame for the first goal, because there was a few people that, could and should have stopped them. But I think that's just the impact that Haaland's had on that team, is that he draws all the defence away and leaves those gaps and spaces in behind for players to get in, and that's what carved us open for their first goal. I think Cher probably could have done better for that. Yeah, he was sort of the man that he was in the right position, but we came back from it, thankfully. And St. Maximin, what a player he is on his day. If he plays like that all the time.
Yeah, the right St. Max turned up. The right one turned up, just like against. You saw the difference against Brighton. The wrong ASM turned up. Against City, the right ASM turned up. That's the ASM that we want to see week in, week out. You see that little bromance going on between ASM and Trippier. Trippier's even given him those talks to say, this is what we want to see from you. This is where we're setting the bar from you. We want to see this week in, week out from you. If he can do that, just shows that he's not the captain Lascelles is, but it just shows how much of a captain that he is, even without the armband.
Well, I think it shows the difference between him and Lascelles as captain. So Lascelles became captain and is sort of known as a captain for the fact that he was berating the team in the dressing room after we lost. Whereas Trippier is the one that's offering encouraging words and saying, look, you can do this. And if you play like that, you're going to be this player that we need. And it shows the contrast in personalities, but I think you kind of need both. So I can see why Eddie has kept Lascelles as club captain, but I can also see why Trippier is the better choice on the pitch.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Lascelles. I did want him to be stripped of the captain's armband, but credit where it's due. I've got to give nothing but absolute praise to Lascelles for his performance against Tranmere. A busted nose, bleeding all over the place, and still running onto that pitch to continue on. No matter how many times he was sent off that pitch, he kept coming on. That deserves a lot of credit to him. And he even went on and got an equaliser just to rub it in their face after being smacked in the face. I mean, it should have been a red, in all honesty. If VAR was on that probably wouldn't have been a red.
Oh, God, yeah.
Broken nose, bleeding and everywhere. I mean, it's not good. But dazed and everything, he got a goal. He deserves a lot of credit from me for that.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, again, he was at fault, I think, for their goal. Him and Dummett as a centre-back pairing is scary to say the least. As if that's what's, Fede Fernandez was on the bench, and I probably would have started him over Dummett. In all honesty, with maybe Dummett playing left back and then bring Matty Target on for the second half rather than. But it's nice to see Lewis come on. But yeah, I mean, it was a Warriors performance from Jamal. I mean, it was vicious that shot to the face that he took, and you could tell in the interview after the game, he was chatting to an interviewer, and there was just a minute where you just sort of thought, is he concussed? Is he still feeling the effects of it? Because he was trying to get his words out, but he froze for about 10 seconds, and then he just stopped what he was trying to say.
Even I was saying, like, come on, Eddie, do the right thing, get him off the pitch. The more he's running around, the more his blood is pumping, and the more blood is going to gush out from his face. You need to get him off. But as a captain that he was, he just like a captain, he won't go down. He'll go down with his ship. And he just carried on. He just would not come off.
Yeah, no, I get that as well, and it's a hugely respectable thing, and our fans obviously love him for that. I mean, he's not always been a fan favourite for his performances, but his attitude is second to none. But when you've got a player that, every time he goes to head the ball, his nose starts absolutely dripping and pouring blood all over the place, that's when you want your medical staff to sort of be turning around and go, well, hang on a second, you shouldn't be on there. You shouldn't be doing this.
I was surprised he wasn't playing with a red ball.
Yeah, well, I think the final sort of nail in the coffin was when he went to go head the ball. Instead of hitting his forehead or top of his head, it smacked him right in the middle of the face, and it started going again, which is why in the end he got taken off. But speaking of Warriors, what about poor Dan Burn in that City game, getting a ball to the face from Botman and getting a nice concussion?
I was just stunned. I was wondering what the heck had just happened. Why is our own player taking one of his teammates out? Was the first thing I shouted. And surely you should know that they're wearing the same kit. After being in shock and then saying that, I just couldn't help but burst out laughing. Why has he done this?
It was a moment of madness, really, wasn't it? I mean, the ref had already blown his whistle. Botman didn't need to toe the ball. So it was an easily avoidable thing. But, yeah, I guess frustration got the better of Botman, and he was just trying to hoof the ball upfield, but didn't end very well. But that said, I don't think Burn will be fit for the Wolves game. Because with concussions, they like to make sure that you're...
he will sit out a couple of games.
But I imagine that's why Matty Target got 45 minutes against Tranmere rather than the whole game. As in Eddie's mind, he wants him to get a little bit of game time under his belt so that he can play this weekend. But, right, what about Wilson's goal? What do you reckon of that? Nice bit of movement from ASM again. Nice little ball through, one touchdown. It's lovely.
What do you expect from your number 9? It's pretty much it. He is our goal machine. He wears that number 9. He is that number 9. There's no one that's going to take that number 9 off him. Even when injured, as soon as he comes back, he still knows where to put that ball. It's going to take a lot to take that 9 away from him. Either he retires wearing that number 9, or he moves to a different club. Then there's no way that number 9 is leaving his back, as well as Isak is. That I don't see Wilson losing that number 9 shirt.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, the way things are going for him, it could end up being an injury that ends his career. I mean, I remember Dean Ashton when he was at West Ham. What a player he was, and then one injury, and he was just never the same player again. And he retired. I think he was like 29 when he went, Dean Ashton, in the end.
Yeah, about 28, 29 when he had to call it quits.
Yeah. So as horrible as it sounds, it could end up happening for Wilson, which I'd absolutely hate because I love the guy. I think he's quality. I mean, I listened to his podcast with Mickey Antonio, and I think he's brilliant. Just the way he talks about everything, and he's really good leadership material as well, which is another thing with this squad, is that all over the pitch we've got leaders now. You've got Wilson, you've got Trippier, you've got Cher, who's not a bad leader, you've got Dan Burn, even Sven Botman, who's the Dutch under-21 captain as well. So across that back line, we've got plenty of people with that leadership ability. Even in midfield, Jolinton's starting to display it in everything that he does. He's just, it's so weird that this player this time last season was getting the brunt of our hate because of how poorly he was playing.
He was absolutely abysmal. Being given the number 9 was the worst thing anyone could ever have done for him. Now he gets given the number 7, and you see some slight bits of improvement. But then as soon as Eddie Howe comes in, brand new player. Where's this Jolinton been? Who was the imposter we had for the other 2-3 seasons?
Yeah, it's nice to see him thriving, and it's another position that we don't have to worry about now that he's doing so well there. But I think what the City game displayed was that we are lacking that sort of holding central midfielder. I mean, Bruno obviously played there for Lyon, but he's been better for us in an advanced position, playing more of a number 8 sort of role rather than a number 6. So I don't know if Jolinton would be able to just slot back a bit more and play into that role. But then again, on the runs forward, he seems to be the lad that links play up quite nicely. So I don't know whether moving him back would be the answer. And then you look at the bench and see the options that we've got. Longstaff, I mean, against Tranmere, he was garbage, to be honest, absolute garbage. And there's nothing else that I can say about it. I've seen some stats from his performance, and he lost the ball so many times. Passes I think he made one successful pass. Through balls were dreadful. He just wasn't good. But Elliot Anderson, I think if Jolinton, a position that we do decide to do is to put Jolinton back into that holding role, Elliot Anderson could be the lad that comes into that first team because he looks so comfortable against Tranmere.
He does. Just when we first saw him against Arsenal in the FA Cup, we know what a player he is. We put him out on loan. We've seen what he can do out on loan. We still know what a player he is. We had him for pre-season. We've seen him now against Tranmere. Again, we know what he can do. Now's the time to probably give him some Premier League minutes under his belt.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it'd be sooner rather than later, in my opinion, especially after that performance the other day. I mean, Willock was poor against Tranmere, which shocked me a little bit. I would have thought that's the sort of game that he'd have taken the ball by the horns and really.
I would have thought he would have been rested the way he's been playing for the first 3 games. I thought he might have been rested, play some more. I was hoping some more youth would have been played instead of having 5 defenders on the bench. We could have had Ndweni on the bench maybe, or Nos as well to have the striking option up front instead of having a certain person play 90 minutes.
Well, yeah, this is it. I mean, I would have liked to have seen Munoz get an opportunity. When we signed him, I think it's originally on a 2-year loan that we got him on, isn't it? So he's technically still on loan at us. We've not bought him. So I think he needs the opportunity sooner rather than later to prove that he deserves to be at the club. There's only one way he's going to get that, and that's with minutes on the pitch. Yeah,
definitely. We've seen clips of him. He's starting to now hit the net. He was quite poor to begin with. We're not getting no goals. We're not hearing anything about him. It took ages for him to have his debut for the youngsters. We finally see him come onto the pitch in pre-season to finally get some minutes for the senior squad. Why not give him a chance?
Well, yeah, I mean, whether it's him, Ndweni, or even Westendorf, he's done quite well for the reserves as well. So there's other options there, and it'd be nice to see some more youth players blooded into that first team. Even Luca de Bol in that midfield, we could have used somebody like him to come on. I mean, it's all well and good having Bruno on the bench for a game against Tranmere, but the way they were playing, bringing him on was a risk because he could have got injured. I mean, it's amazing that Darlow even managed to stand up after that tackle from Kane Hemmings. That was, and how that was the red card. I'm still quite shook by that. It just doesn't make any sense at all to me.
They don't. I think Tranmere's tactics from the off were going hard. That's the only way you can see their tactics, because every time we got the ball, they were diving into us, conceding the fouls.
Yeah.
They were playing quite dirty, but the ref, I don't think he had a good game. If VAR was at that, it probably would have been a different story. They could have been down to 9 or even 8 men, but then when you go free, when 3 players get sent off, it's they have to forfeit the game.
Oh god, yeah. Well, I mean, it's like whenever you play Football Manager, whenever you play a higher league team, when you're sort of in the doldrums of the football league, you kind of have to use that sort of tactic, don't you, just to be able to rattle it.
Yeah.
I can understand why they've done it, because if you've got somebody that's got a ton more ability than you, the only thing that you're going to be able to do is have a little shirt tug, or stand on their big toe and just rattle them a little bit, put them off their game, make them make a mistake. So next time they come towards you, they might give you the ball by accident. And to be fair, in Tranmere's defence, if I was their manager, I'd have said the exact same thing. Go out there, rattle them. But there's rattling a team, and then there's trying to take chunks of players out. And obviously, poor Emil Kraft found that out the hard way when he went off with his injury. Now, that wasn't necessarily an intentional injury caused by, I think it's Bristow or something along those lines. They're fullback. But yeah, it was sort of indicative of the challenges that they were making, where they were putting our players under that sort of, what's the word I'm looking for, under sort of undue. Well, it was just unnecessary, to be honest. It was a tackle that could have been avoided, and again, the referee did nothing about it. It was a yellow card at worst, but he didn't stamp anything out. One yellow card got shown in that match, I think.
Can't remember. One thing I would say is that it's kind of good that we played most of our B team squad instead of our A team squad. But the way that we're playing, that's the last thing we would have needed for any of our first team starters to have got injured.
Yeah, although I think it does show how far apart the quality of our starting 11 is from the backup players, really. I mean, Jacob Murphy, he's been a good servant. He's a fan of the club, so he knows what it means to play for the club and what it's all about. But he just doesn't have the quality or ability to even be on the team sheet, to be honest. I mean, he had so many opportunities to put the ball in the net. He had the opportunity to put balls in the box. He had the opportunity to take it past a few defenders, and he doesn't. He looks like he doesn't know what to do with the ball.
Yeah, he looks like he had a really off game, that one. We've been seeing that a lot from him. I like him. I like what he's capable of doing. He's got brilliant speed on him. I've always said to play him in his natural position, which is as a winger, instead of where he's always been played under Bruce as a wing back. Maybe he needs to. Personally, I think maybe he needs to get used to being back in that forward role again before we can see the performances come out of him, because he's got used now to being as a defender, which is not his position. Maybe giving him more time in his forward role would probably suit him better, and probably could get performances out of him, but time's running out, because the more we're bringing in players, the more he's going to drop down the pecking order. Yeah,
well, I mean, if we get another winger in, I think the best thing for him would be, because he could be a decent backup option. Obviously, he's a homegrown player, which would help. So 6-month loan to somewhere in a championship possibly would really do him wonders, especially if he's playing in that wing role, like you were saying. But I just don't think until January he's going to be, if we, obviously, again, it's all depends on if we get a winner. I just don't think he's going to be even third option. I mean, we've got Miggy, Allen, Isak can play as a left wing as well. I'm not saying he will, because obviously he'll be up front. Let's face it. But
hope so.
Yeah, there's just, I don't see him being in and around the first team, especially as Elliot Anderson as well. He can play across that front three too. He can play centre attacking mid, left wing, right wing. So we've got depth there. And Matt Ritchie, he was another one that I thought didn't have the best of performances until Trippier came on. When Trippier came on, their link-up play was quite nice, but yeah, there's a lot of that reserve squad which just looks a little bit out of depth. And I think it's the lack of playing time as well that they've been getting under Eddie Howe, which is it's starting to show, because the tactics that he wants to play, they've not had a time to bed into yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's all well and good learning it in training, but when it matters on the pitch, you're not seeing the performances out of them, because they're coming up against an opponent they've not played against, and using those tactics they're not played against those opponents with. So, yeah, playing those tactics in an actual game it's not suited them well. They probably should have been given more time, but Eddie's certain on who he wants to start, which there's no change in that, because the formula is working. Don't change the formula. Don't change the players. The players that are starting now are, no disrespect to the others, but they're better than what we've got. Murphy, yeah, you could. He's gonna fall down the pecking order. Maybe, as you said, maybe send him out 6-month loan to a Championship club. Use him as part of the deal with for Pedro. Bring Pedro in permanently. Send Murphy over to them for a loan. Maybe loan option to buy, because if Pedro comes in, then that's probably Murphy's time done.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I think that would benefit both teams, to be honest. He could do a job for them. But yeah, it's difficult at the minute. I mean, obviously going back to what we were saying about how the tactics and things, you look at that Man City game, there was a point in that game against City where we had 96% possession over a course of about 10 minutes. And you look at the team that played against Tranmere, they were part of a squad that would average possession of something like 20 to 30% under Steve Bruce. So it's a complete and utter culture shock for them, having to then try and play this possession-based attacking game rather than the defensive, all backs to the wall sort of mentality that has been drilled into them. So yeah, it will take time, and who knows, they might come good. I mean, Cher did, and a lot of other players under Eddie Howe have come good so far. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that he could whip them into shape. It's just looking unlikely at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. It'll come. Give them time, give them the chance. Then you'll probably see performances out of them. But at the moment, they're not making it into the squad. You see the bench looked more attracting than what the starting 11 was.
Yeah.
That shows you how the difference in class between the starting 11 and the backups. When we did the Premier League game, you look at the bench and you're thinking, yeah, I don't want any of them coming on. I want this 11 to stay on the pitch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the other thing that sort of showed for me was, as good as Kraft has been under Howe, the second Trippier came on that pitch, you could tell the difference in quality. The through balls, the passes, just everything was so much better. And he ended up getting man of the match, didn't he, Kieran Trippier, as well?
That stunned me. He got man of the match, and he was a substitute, and that just shows you what a player he is. He knows. I've deemed him like a John Joe Shelby type person. He can pick out a pass. He knows where those passes need to go, and he's also got a cracking foot on him for a free kick. And what a player he is! To this day, I still cannot believe we signed a player like him for our club.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. And we'll always remember him as the first one to take the dive, really, and take the plunge and come to Newcastle. But he also made Chris Wood look good with that corner that he delivered. I'm still adamant that it's not really a Chris Wood goal. It's more of a Trippier goal with a deflection off of Wood.
Yeah. I'll chalk it down to that. Even the commentator that didn't rate him, as if you listen to it back, as soon as the ball went in the back of the net, the commentator shouted out own goal. So I'm all down for saying it's an own goal. Everyone knows my views on Wood. But then later on, what's he going to do? He misses a sitter.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, I think if we'd have signed him a couple of seasons ago, he'd have been a better player than he is now. But he's the wrong side of 30, and he doesn't fit in with the system we play. Now, if Eddie converted him to a centre-back, I think he'd be quality because he's dominant in the air. He just can't score when he's in the air. He can't score when he's got his feet on the ground either. But yeah, as a defender, he'd be a proper rock-solid unit, and I think he'd do all right there. But yeah, I just think somebody like Nduweni or Munoz would have taken the opportunity a bit more than Chris Wood did because, well, let's face it, like you said, there was 90 minutes he was on the pitch and he didn't do anything really other than get a goal from a couple of yards out into an empty net.
He was shocking. He hardly touched the ball really throughout the entire game. First half, I was late into the game, about 15 minutes late, and from 50 minutes onwards, I don't think he hardly touched the ball once or twice. For a striker, he needs to be getting in there to get that ball, same way he wants that ball to go. But every time a cross came in or any time a corner was whipped in, he was standing behind the person supposed to be marking him. So how's he meant to get the ball when the defender is in front of him? He needs to get in front of him every time, whether it was being whipped in from the left or the right. The defender was always in front of him. He's not in front of them. That annoyed me. And when we finally break and burst up the other end of the field, we've got our wingers already up there. We've got maybe even a midfielder up there, and he's still on the halfway line, still trying to run. He is so slow. And I really, really hope that he is not named on that starting lineup against Wolves.
Yeah. There's only one thing that I can praise him for, and that was against the City, in the City game, sorry. And when I think that wasn't there, I can't remember who it was that got caught out, but one of our centre-backs got caught out, or Trippier got caught out, somebody did. And Chris Wood made the run all the way back into the centre of defence, and he made a block, which, again, brings me to the point that he could make a decent defender. He's got defensive awareness, and the trouble is he doesn't have that attacking movement, the speed to, or the acceleration, or just any kind of, speed in his legs to fit in with the style of play that we want. If we were playing how we did this time last season, he'd been perfect because we were hitting long balls up the pitch, and that was our only way of getting forward. It was either pass it to Maxi or, toe the ball forward, and he would have been there to then chest it down, hold it, let us push up. Perfect. But what we're looking for at the moment is to give it to the wingers to then put the balls in the box, which is what Wilson does best. He gets into the box and he finds the space in there to then put it in the net, which he has in a fair few of the games so far. But Chris Wood just stands there. And I'd love to say, because outside of the game, I love him as a person. I think he's quality. Like, I've seen some of the interviews he's done. He's got a personality on him, but he doesn't have the ability, unfortunately, which is a bit sad. There's a few players like that. I mean, Almer on this time last season, I loved him, but he didn't have the ability matching it on the pitch. And it's the same with Jacob Murphy as well. He's another player that's likeable, doesn't have the ability. Hayden, to a point, was a lovable character, but wasn't always perfect on the pitch. And he's a good third, fourth choice striker, I think, behind Isak, Wilson, and hopefully João Pedro.
Yeah, the more he falls down the pecking order, the better. I just don't want to see him in the squad.
I think we all know where you sit on the matter of Chris Wood, to be fair, mate. But
the old Plankosaurus.
Oh,
but
yeah.
What did I say last week though? Wouldn't it's written in the stars? It would be a dream if Miggy was to score against City, and what did he do?
The only thing that made me sad is Grealish wasn't there to see it.
Oh yeah, he had an injury.
Well, we all know what that means. He didn't have the stomach for it, did he?
Nah, there was no chance.
I think that was tactical genius from Pep, to be honest, because if he knew that if Grealish had rocked up at St James's, the hassle and the aggro that we would have given him as fans would have put him off his game, would have put City off their game. And yeah, once you put off your game, you can't get back into it, to be honest. So it was smart from him. But yeah, did you see the little lad in the crowd with the sign? Can Grealish have your shirt?
Grealish have your shirt. I thought that was amazing. That was hilarious.
Nice little touch that was. Bless him. But yeah, I mean, he didn't score a classic goal. It's not going to live long in the memory. But I think it came off his calf or something, didn't it, when he fell down? Yeah, he got his goal, which is hopefully the start of him pushing on this season, getting a few more. Obviously, we said ASM. Hopefully, he can continue this run of form. Got 2 assists, 3 if you count the fact that he won the free kick Trippier scored. Trippier, obviously, never ever let anyone else take set pieces. Always give it to him. I think that's another thing we learned. Wilson will score goals if you give him the ball. And going back to Alan again, his decision making in this game, I think, was the best I've seen from him in a Newcastle shirt. He knew when to pass it. He knew when to take the player on. He knew where to put the ball. Everything about that performance was just top notch. And you don't get that from Alan. Normally, there's that slightly awry pass that goes, 10 yards the wrong side of the player he's trying to get it to. But he was just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, like I said, the Trippier influence that's had on ASM has really taught him a lesson, we might as well say. He's learned a lot from the ball hogging ASM that would not pass the ball to anyone, would take it all on himself, then lose the ball, to now we're seeing he's making those runs still, but with those runs, he's making it effective. He's getting his head up, he's seeing a pass, he's going to get that run a bit further, make that pass, and how effective it is becoming. Trippier has definitely had that effect on him, and it's made him learn and see what he's doing wrong.
Well, this is it, mate. Yeah, I mean, it's good tutelage that he's getting. Obviously, we've got Wolves this weekend. It's a tricky one, especially as we're going up there. They've signed a few players. They spent a few quid. Gonzalo Guedes is quite a decent player. Is somebody that I'd have liked to have signed for us, to be honest. He's pacey. He's got technical ability. He did really well for Valencia. Got an eye for goal. Mateus Nunez that they've got as well. I don't know if it's Nunez or Nunez, whichever one, but he looks good. But I think the biggest talking point is that our new £63 million striker is available for the game. Whether he starts, I don't know, because I'm going to use your favourite player again, but Chris Wood's got a very good goal scoring record against Wolves. But Eddie hasn't exactly been happy to throw new signings straight into the fire. So it's more likely that Isak will come off the bench at some stage to play a part in the game. But either way, I think we've got a very good opportunity here to go and stick another 3 points on the board. Whether we do or not is the next question. I mean, how are you feeling about our chances up there?
I think we can get 3 points, in all honesty. Plankosaurus may start, but I'm all for within 30 seconds we make a substitute, take him off, and bring Isak on, and then he can have his 90 minutes and done with it. But I just hope he's played. I just want Isak on the pitch. We've signed him. He's not going to want to sit on the bench. No. He's going to want to be playing straight away. So I would.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, he's match fit. He's been playing for Sociedad. Scored against Barca last weekend. Quite a nice little goal. Nice little chip over the keeper from close range. That was a lovely little goal that he scored. And I'll tell you what surprised me the most, though, was when I was watching his interview with Newcastle TV, was how well he speaks English. And I don't know if it's just something that the Swedes do, but that helps a lot, because with Bruno, when he first came to the club, he didn't really know English. So putting him straight into the first team would have been difficult, because he wouldn't have understood Eddie's instructions or been able to communicate with the players around him, other than Jolinton. So with Isak, I think that gives him more of a chance to start because he can understand everyone.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that language barrier, but everybody says that throughout the entire world, English is the second language taught. So they're going to learn some English elsewhere, regardless of where they're going to go to.
Aye. Well, this is it, mate. I mean, it's going to be a good game, whatever happens. But yeah, it's just weird to me that we're going to be playing Wolves and Connor Cody isn't captaining them in their defence. For me, that's one of the strangest moves of the transfer window, is them getting rid of him. And as much as I like Connor Cody, I don't think he's made the right move going to Everton. But I do
especially
think,
being a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll go down well with the family, I imagine. But they got in Nathan Collins, who I think is actually pretty good. I mean, he's so quick for a centre back. He's really quick, and up against the likes of Chris Wood, I think that's not gonna end well for us if we're trying to use that as an avenue for us to score goals through. But with Isak, you know, the lad's 6'4" and very pacey, very good technically, great dribbler on the ball. It sort of seems that we should be playing Isak, to be honest.
Yeah, he has to play. He's got speed. I've seen stats saying that he is likened to Messi, Ronaldo, Zlatan, Brazilian style Ronaldo. He's got that ability to just, even though he's 6'3", 6'4", he's got speed on him. He can just explode just instantly and get straight on the other end, do trickery of the ball. He's going to be one heck of a player to watch, and especially now he's going to be wearing those black and white stripes. I can't wait to see him.
Yeah, no, this is it, mate. I mean, it's like there was a stat that I saw the other day, which was he scored 40 non-penalty goals since, I think, it's either the 1920 season or last season. Not since last season, sorry, since 1920, 2021 season, something like that anyway. And the only players under 23 that have scored more than him are Mbappe and Haaland. So it kind of goes to show you the quality of player that we've now got in the squad. And obviously being friends with Emil Kraft, that's probably helped him make a choice in coming to Newcastle. He said in his interview that the fans were a massive part of why he's come. But I think it also goes to show as well that the project that we've got, it's really starting to come across to a lot of players that Newcastle could be a special place to go to and to play for. And I really think it does sort of, excuse the language here, it shits on Gabby Bonlahore's parade a bit. It's lovely.
Everybody laughs at Bonlahore. They have that tweet going around. I see this morning. That the Isak deal's off now. He's going down to Brentford. He's going to play for 10k less. The source coming from Gabby Bonlahore. It still aggravates you to the day when he says, people would rather play for Brentford than go to Newcastle. Yeah, we got in Bruno, we got Trippier, we've now got Isak, we got Pope, we got Botman. You sure these players want to go down further when we're attracting these players, and it's only going to keep getting better?
Well, this is it, mate. And I mean, I'm hopeful. I know you're not a big fan, but I'm hopeful James Maddison could be a player that we add to the squad, because I think a midfield trio of him, Jolinton, and Bruno, that's formidable. And again, I know you're not one for transfer speculation. Obviously, the Eddie's quite keen on James Maddison. We've seen that with the few bids that have been turned down already. We know that he's keen on Conor Gallagher on loan as well. And we also know that we had bids for Edson Alvarez from Ajax turned down. Is it Ajax that he plays from? I can't really remember. But there's a lad out in the Dutch league, a holding midfielder that we've had bids turned down for, who's apparently meant to be really good. But I think two more additions we're almost there. I think we're not going to be the finished article this season, but we're getting there, and it's exciting at the minute, especially obviously breaking your transfer record. I mean, I was watching Sky Sports earlier, and Paul Merson was talking about Isak's deal and saying, I think he could end up being quite poor. And his excuse for that was when he's never played in the Premiership. Yeah, but what? Neither did Bruno when we signed him. He'd never played in the Premiership, but he's done all right, isn't
Neither
he?
did Drogba. Neither did Ronaldo.
Well, this is it. And I mean, you can say that about a lot of players. Ronaldo, like you said, before he signed for Man United, he'd never played there. Half of the players that Arsenal have signed, they've never played in the Premiership before. How do we know they're going to be good? Just it beggars belief whenever our name's mentioned in a transfer story, how the player all of a sudden becomes completely and utterly poor, especially given the fact that Arsenal were chasing Isak not long ago. So, but yeah,
it's just jealousy. They know that there's a new team on the block, and they are just shitting themselves.
Exactly, mate. Right, so last thing before we do our score predictions. Oh, excuse me, that whiskey hit the wrong hole. So last thing, before score predictions, Dubravka. This one hurts me slightly. He seems that he's happy to go sit on Man United's bench as their number 2, but doesn't want to stay with us and be our number 2. Now, I don't know if it's something to do with a discussion between him and Eddie Howe as to whether he knows that he's not going to get that game time or what, but yeah, I don't understand the reasoning for it, because it's all looking like it's going to be a loan with an option to buy for 5 million. So on our side of the deal, it's poor because we could get a lot more money from him, and on his side of the deal for Dubravka, he's going to be getting paid the same wage regardless of where he is. I don't understand it. I don't get it. De Gea's going to be number 1 at Man United no matter what. So, what's your take on this, mate? Because I'm struggling to believe it, to be honest.
They quoted us 40 mil for Henderson. They quoted us 30, I think, for Lingard with all the add-ons and whatnots and whatever doodads you want to say. So my thing to Man United would be, right, 60 mil plus 12 mil add-ons plus another 40 mil if you get relegated, plus another 80 mil if you get into Europe. If you don't want to pay that, jog on.
Yeah,
Eddie Howe doesn't want to lose him, and I'm not confident in having Darlow and Gillespie, who shouldn't even be at the club, as our backups. If Dubravka does go, then I would probably say we need to go and get a number 2.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly there. Darlow, he's been great for us. Don't get me wrong, I love the guy. I think he's quality, but he's not quality enough to be first or second choice for us. What we should be doing is the level of petty that United did to us, which is, like you said, stick a £12 million. If you stay up this season, that's what we get for you staying up. Just like they did with Lingard. That's the sort of level of petty I can get behind. But I don't know, mate. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But I'll trust the club. They obviously know what they're doing. I mean, they've got Isak in and Botman and Pope. Ironically, of which we got Isak in. I'm not sure if you noticed, after the Man City game, Al Ramayan was spotted in the stands during the match. So it's clear to see that he's seen what's gone on the pitch and thought, well, hang on a second, if we stick 1 or 2 more players in this team, we could challenge for more than just top 10. And I'm wondering if that's something that's been a discussion between him and the board. So maybe that's what it is. But yeah, a couple more players, and I think we'll do all right for the season, whether it's with or without Dubravka.
Oh yeah, I'll say another 2, and even if the window closes now, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is it, and we're a lot better and a lot stronger than we were at the start of the season. So yeah, I can't complain. We spent 122 million so far, which is more than I ever expected we'd spend. The club have gone out above and beyond, and yeah, it's fantastic to see. But right, so lastly, how are you feeling about the Wolves game? What's your thoughts on what the score will be?
I think we can go and win it, regardless of if Plankosaurus plays. Wolves have not been as good as they have been. They've signed some good players, but I don't see them being much of a threat the way we're playing. We're still undefeated in the league. We're currently on a run of a win, draw, draw. I'm going for a 2-0 win.
Yeah? Even after how Wolves played against Spurs last weekend?
Yeah, we'll still do it. Look how we've done against City. Look what we did against City.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I'll give you that one. I mean, I expect us to concede purely for the fact that there seem to be not massive amounts of issues between Cher and Botman, but a couple of communication issues. And the fact that it will be the first time that Botman's played alongside Target, there might be some rustiness there that they need to work off to work well together. But so I expect Wolves will score. But despite what I was saying earlier about it being quite a close game, I do think we can win. So I'd say probably 2-1, to be honest. And I hope Isak comes off the bench to score one of those, or at least starts and scores one of them. That'd be lovely.
No, it'd be if he scores both, I'm happy with that. If he scores a hat trick and then goes to Wood and go, that's how you do it. I mean that'll please me even more. But if he doesn't play and he gets saved for Liverpool, I'd probably go over Joe Linton and a Joe Willock goal to grab our goals, because I don't think now Wood scored, we ain't going to see no more of him until he scores probably 16 games down the line again.
Yeah, no, I'd agree, mate. But yeah, I mean, so this time next week we can have another signing through the door, maybe another 2. And obviously Monday will be a nice, interesting chat to see what's gone on this weekend. Obviously preview the Liverpool game. And who do we have next weekend? I can't remember who we've got next weekend.
We've got Liverpool on Wednesday, and then we have... Let's see that. We got... Liverpool... Right, wait. Liverpool fixtures...
What's the date next weekend?
Wolves, Liverpool, Palace.
Oh, that could be an interesting game.
Oh,
I think we should win, given their start to the season. I mean, they're not a bad side, but yeah. Anyway, we could talk about that on Monday. But yeah, so that'd be interesting. And obviously, next weekend the window shuts. As well, what day is it that the transfer window shuts? So it is next Thursday. That'll be interesting. But yeah, so have a good weekend, mate. Hopefully we get a win this weekend. Sorry, I think I've made you late for your Twitch stream, haven't I?
It doesn't matter about
that. But yeah, we'll have a chat next week, buddy. Have a good one, and I'll catch you Monday, mate.
Cool. Catch you later.
Cheers. Take it easy, buddy.
See ya.